Hello everyone, Min here bringing you some more Brawlhalla content, and we're making an informational video because it's been a while since we've continued this series, and this time we're covering the top 10 best series again, and we're talking about the top 10 best spear signatures. Seeing as how I've spent a lot of time on Lance and a lot of time on Spear, talk about the intricacies of what makes a spear signature kit good, and might as well go down the list of the top 10 best in my opinion. Now, when it comes, the difference between spear and lance signatures is that spear's more of a flexible weapon than lance, because lance, you just build up damage and then you just kill with like a stray hit. But spear, you have more stuff going for it, like you can go for catching landings with downlight or floaty players and punishing jumps and all of that. Or you can play more proactively with like aerial approaches and saring them and stuff like that. And then there's the aspect of like, do you want to sky gimp them or you want to gimp them from the bottom? All sorts of things that, in my opinion, make spear have a higher skill ceiling than lance. No, not skill ceiling. Like complex, like their moveset. Their moveset just offers more different playstyles of being able to get your point across to win. So seeing as how I've got Scarlet as my highest lance, but my two next highest are both 62, and they're both Ada and Mirage, which are both Spear legends, so I think I'm quite qualified to talk about Spear, and I'm a Brawlhalla player most of the time. So let's get right ahead.
Training!
Starting off the list, we're going with Arcadia.
Arcadia!
So yes, starting off the list of the best spear signatures, we've got Arcadia starting off the list at number 10. Now the reason Arcadia is merely at 10th place for this signature in particular, we're going from worst of the best to the best of the best. So at 10th place, we've got Arcadia's down signature on Spear. Now the reason this is only at 10th, even though it's a really good signature, is because it's really only applicable as a utility and you're not really outright using it to score kills unless your opponent stumbles into it. But it's just a very good tool that it has to be in the top 10 list. Because you use this, you can just throw it out, and then it's still in active frames, and you can move while it's in active frames. So you can use this to gain tempo. Like you're moving, and then you throw this out. And then you can do this, and it's good for buying your time if you're rather impatient and need to throw out moves. And you can throw these out, and then it's got some true combos with it too. True into Nair, true into Sair, true into Ground Pound, wow. And let me guess, true into Recovery too, right? Yes. Now that's some amazing tech, and that's why this signature is really good. It's a godsend to have this for a spear if you're as impatient as I am. And if you can land it in a certain way, like in the ending frames, you can get neutral sig too. On top of that, you can slide it, and it's got some interesting applications with the wall because it sticks to the wall in a different way like that. And I'm pretty sure Stingray has some more tech talk about that. But that's my input on the down sig. It's a really solid signature. But there's better signatures out there in my opinion, so I'm just putting it at 10. Moving into 9th place, we've got Ada. It should be no surprise that Ada's got to be on the top 10 list of spear signatures, because of her good old trusty spear neutral sig. Her good old trusty spear neutral sig. The reason I put this signature at 9 and not higher is because it doesn't hit grounded and it's very easily punished. That's the main big thing holding it back from higher placement. But if you do land it, oh boy. Like, that's landing it at white and it does that much force. And of course you can string it. You can string it off of side light. You can string it off of downlight. Unjumpable, by the way. It's probably, you know, I'm pretty sure it's jumpable off of side light, but it's not jumpable off of downlight, so keep that in mind. Very good as a read tool when your opponent is floaty. Excellent slide potential. Excellent gravity cancel potential. You really can't go wrong with this signature. And it sets up the opponent in a way similar to like the popular dunk signatures, like Diana's neutral sig on bow, dunking, Asuri's Qatar neutral sig. It's like the spear version of those dunks, but better in some ways because Asuri neutral sig is harder to slide charge, but this is easy. Yeah, this is easy as pie. And sending at that particular angle is much better. I was actually considering putting Orion neutral sig spear on the list, so spoiler alert, that's an honorable mention. But it's sent straight down, so the application's albeit the same. Sending straight down is not as helpful because the diagonal is just more friendly in case if you hit it closer into the stage rather than already off stage.
Dominating.
And with Ada's neutral sig, considering the force, even if you landed early on, it helps you have the good edge guard potential to get a gimp if you're good at edge guarding. So there's that. But honorable mention for Orion's neutral sig, it hits grounded and it's pretty easy to land in a grounded situation. But I find it much better for damage build on stage, and it really only truly shines when you're off stage. So there's that. There's my input on Ada neutral sig on spear. Moving into 8th place with the top 10 best spear signatures. 8th place we got Nash, and Nash has got his spear neutral signature as his entry on the list. Like, words can only barely scrape the top of the iceberg for how good this signature is. Like, check out this hitbox. Boom. Another kind of similar, I'm going to make another similar vein here with examples and like downgraded signatures. A similar signature to this as a downgrade, but an alternate option if you really like Kaya, is Kaya neutral signature, would be similar to Nash's neutral signature, but except Nash's signature covers a bit more closer to him, and Kaya's covers a bit more up and forward. And they both hit grounded, which is amazing. So honorable mentions of Kaya neutral sig. They're both also stringable off of downlight, although your mileage may vary with the neutral sig on Nash because it's much easier to land on 4 decks for unjumpability. I personally play Nash on strength stance, so he has 3 decks. So it's hit or miss often for stringing that together unjumpable. And I know for a fact that you can't string it on 2 decks Nash, so there's that. But you can hit this grounded. Just gotta position yourself, not stacked, but just in front. Okay, it does hit stacked, never mind. Albeit just barely stacked. Kind of like old blaster downlight kind of stacked. But that's amazing force. You can slide it amazingly well. You can gravity cancel it amazingly well. It strings off of side light just as well as downlight. And it's just a good fallback because here's a recurring theme for the further entries in this list. Like, you're going for your side light reads, right? your opponent is gonna be dodging in all sorts of ways. You don't know what they're gonna do. But you let loose one of these, if they dodge towards you, they're gonna get nailed by it. And then, if they're dodging away from you, you can just step forward a bit and then let loose, and it's pretty safe. That's why this signature is a pretty good ceiling spiker, and it fulfills the same niche as a lot of the signatures that catch aerial, like Bryn Neutral Sig, for example. But Bryn Neutral Sig is also jumpable off of Downlight, unless you're playing like Deck Stance on Bryn, which is rather also niche information. But then again, wouldn't you rather want to go into double Downlight on Spear? So that's why stuff that I think for Spear, where you do Downlight, Gravity Cancel, Neutral Sig stuff, that kind of stuff is just an unnecessary luxury that's really only worth it when you can get a special bonus off of it. And the bonus off of Nash here is that it's easy to use grounded. And Kaya's is just as good as Nash's, but it's just Kaya's is slower, and you're easier to get punished compared to Nash. And not only that, but Nash is jumping off the ground, so low hitting attacks like Sword Downlight, Orb Sidelight are probably going to miss, so that's an added bonus. So all in all, an amazing move on Nash. And that's probably why Crocky mained him for a while too. Like, this Sig is amazing. Okay, moving on to 7th place, we've got Hattori. Now, I try to incorporate as much information about weapons capabilities in terms of signature variety as I can. But it's just that Spear is kind of lopsided when it comes to utility, when you need grounded coverage versus aerial coverage versus stacked coverage and read utility coverage kind of variety, yeah. So, like, I chose Hattori Side Sig as 7th place, yeah. Now, the reason she's at 7th place is because usually you've got this area as a weak spot because you'd have to land Downlight to get a confirmed kill on Spear, and Downlight does not hit grounded. I mean, if they jump, good job, you got a kill. But if they stay grounded, you're going to have to rely on reads, and reading is not perfect. So having a quick Sig that you can just flow with, that hits right in front of you in a good way, is amazing for Spear. And Hattori fits the bill for Side Sig. It's fast and miss with it, and you can just go with the flow, kind of like whiffing a Lancer. Just use the momentum and get away. So that's epic. It's a good gravity cancel. It's a good yeah. You can slide it. That's some amazing utility. Yeah, you can slide it any way you want. You can gravity cancel it. Hits well, does decent damage, decent force. But the strength of this signature is just that it's so fast and fluid that you don't really have any... It's just low risk. It's pretty self-explanatory. It covers Spear's weakness really well, which is straight in front of it. And let's check for good measure if it covers stacked. Semi-stacked. Solid. Pretty solid. Now you're probably wondering, what other comparable side sigs didn't make the cut but are pretty similar to Hattori side sig? And let me tell you, there's quite a few choices off the top of my head that I wanted to put in the list, but I decided that Hattori's was better, and that includes Wushang side sig. You guys probably know that real well. Wushang side sig on Spear is insane and got nerfed a lot. But like, you're stationary when you miss it, So when you do miss it and your opponent is close enough to punish you, now that it got nerfed, that's kind of an issue. And not only that, but the hitbox for Wushang's side sig is slow. No, not slow. It's low hitting. So like if you gravity cancel it or slide it as a weird tech, it's just gonna harmlessly go into the ground and not do anything much. But it's amazing as a gravity cancel because it hits low in that case. Like there's just those random times when you need to hit someone in the hood. Okay, let's see. Yeah, like those low hitting moves are really good for gravity cancels, especially when you're trying to land and catching landings of the enemy, that kind of jazz. And another comparable signature that's an honorable mention is Dust Side Sig on Spear, which is actually somewhat similar to Hattori's, but the startup is more telegraphed. It may reach farther than Hattori's, and for its merit, it hits harder, and it reaches a bit farther, all that good stuff, but it doesn't hit as stacked, and it's just a tiny bit slower, which puts it below Hattori Side Sig. But those signatures, Wushang Side Sig, Dust Side Sig, that stuff, all solid Sigs too, just not as good enough to make the list compared to Hattori Side Sig. Alright, moving into 6th place, we've got Dusk. Now, you probably are wondering, I've already dissed Dusk's Spear compared to Hattori for side Sigs, but what's left? Is it down Sig? Nah, it's not down Sig. It's neutral Sig, guys. Neutral Sig is the 6th entry in the list. And it's so good because it's fast, and it covers that awkward spot that Downlight won't cover. So it's amazing. It's albeit really restricted in the function, but it does its intended function really well, covering right above you without having to waste a jump and a recovery, which is much slower in comparison. And amazing slide charge. Decent gravity cancel, but most of all, it's just so fast and risk-free if they're already in the air. Alright, look how fast that is. Not much to explain here, besides it's fast, and it's strong, and it does its intended purpose well. It's not very flexible compared to the other entries in this list, but it's perfect for vertical coverage that Downlight doesn't cover. An amazing signature to round out flexibility where you need it the most. When you need an anti-air that's just risk-free. Moving into 5th place, we have Ada returning for the 5th entry. And her signature in the 5th entry spot is Spear Down signature. Why, you ask? Why would I put this here, huh? We do have honorable mentions that have contention with Ada's down signature for similar functions, like Bryn down sig. What else? Kaya down sig. Mirage down sig. Even Hattori down sig still deserves placement too. They all do the same kind of stuff. Stacked coverage. Now here's the interesting part. Your preference on down signatures may vary highly. You see, Ada's down signature is terrible when you do it in white, because the stun doesn't last long enough when they're white, and then they can actually hit you before you finish your attack if you hit them in the early frames. So there's that. But otherwise, that and the active frames making it easy to punish if you do miss are the biggest weaknesses that drag this signature down. But other than that, this signature is an absolute beast. Like, you cover behind, you cover stacked, you cover in front, and she moves, she dances forward, drop dance style. She moves forward while you're doing it, so it can function as two signatures in one in that aspect. It can be like a side sig and a down sig as one sig, and it hits hard. So if they're dark yellow or more damaged, this signature is gonna wreck people. And it's pretty much impossible to spot dodge, so they're gonna have to preemptively know this is gonna happen. Amazing gravity cancel, amazing slide charge. You can't really go wrong with this. And the low hitting into high hitting, spinning top, and breakdance hitboxes are epic. The reason I've mentioned this already, the only reason this signature is not higher is just that its strengths are used against it. Its active frames just allow for high punishing if you mess up. But like, this signature, the strengths of this signature are almost unparalleled. If they're dodging in towards the ground and you let loose down sig, they're pretty much toast after a side light read and they dodge downwards. Or heck, even dodging into you. And if you dash and do this, they can't dodge. They can't even dash out of. They can't even dodge grounded towards the ground diagonally down, and that won't. And like, you don't even have to worry about the side light game in that case if they're already in kill percent. So that's really amazing. And you'll probably see me employ this signature a lot just to cheese people. It's one of my most favorite signatures. Okay, we're moving into the top 4, and in the 4th spot we got Ada yet again. Yep. If you love Spear, Ada's your pinup girl if you like Spear. Big shout out to Crocky for making me like Ada. He was the OG Ada main. I hope Crocky still plays because his Spear gameplay is fun to watch with all the egg drops and stuff. And the pogos and the weapon throws, all that jazz. But anyways, Ada Side Sig is the 4th entry on this top 10 list. Now, why is Ada Side Sig so good at 4th place? Well, it covers the weakness of grounded, forward-facing kill potential of Spear. Neutral light's not going to kill, side light's not going to kill unless you get a read. But for all you guys who love signatures that give you instant satisfaction, boom, we got Side Sig. And not to mention, if you're close for a handshake, then it doesn't hit. But the dash flexibility of this makes it the icing on the cake. Because with a dash, it reaches far. Without a dash, it can cover just at the area, in the crucial area here. So yeah, if you're an Ada player, if they're you want to dance with them instead of giving a hand, just drop dance them if you want a handshake. But otherwise, go for the Side Sig. It's so fast. It hits. Check out this hitbox. Look how high that hits. Like, Ada Side Sig hits that high. That's almost as high as Scarlet's down sig steam pile with down sig on Lance. So that's generous enough to cover some of your read potential right there. And it hits so hard too. Amazing Side Sig. An amazing slide charge, which I consider to be very important for upping your mix-up game. Amazing gravity cancel. Since you've got the vertical coverage due to that added height. Now, the only reason I'm placing this signature 4th place and not higher is because there's just one fatal flaw to this signature. It's so good, but like, if your opponent is expecting it, it's so easy to spot dodge this somehow. I don't know how people do it. I may not have the reaction time for that, but people spot dodge this so well.
Dominating.
Because it's just a flicker of hitboxes, and then they're gone. So like, people spot dodge this, and then you're like, dang, we're not feeling so hot anymore. So that's the downside, and that's the only reason why this is at 4th place and not higher. But in every other aspect, this signature is a signature that makes any spear side sig go to shame. Now, we have some comparable signatures to this. Some comparable signatures to this would be like Bryn side sig, right? Arcadia side sig for distance, that kind of stuff. But they're just slow, so that's kind of the big issue here. In Brawlhalla, frame data is really important. The faster, the better. So having those sigs for distance is good for distance aspect if you prefer distance. But most people prefer frame data and speed, so Ada side sig wins out. Not much contest there. Again, Wushang, we compare this to Hattori. It's just that Ada's hitboxes are higher reaching compared to Wushang's. That's pretty much the main thing. Which is a downside or an upside depending on how you play. So that's also player preference, but in general you prefer higher hitboxes. So Ada's got that covered. Rounding out into the bronze level placement, in 3rd place we got Orion. For 3rd place in Orion, we've got the epic, the infamous down signature. Now the down signature on did I say Artemis? I said Orion. Orion down signature. Artemis down. Okay, now I'm messing myself up. Orion down signature. Orion down signature is the 3rd placement on the list because it's super fast. It hits all over that you need it to hit. It hits forward, backwards, and right on top. And it's fast enough to where if you miss, the likelihood of being punished is low unless they're already close to you. And this is now, mileage may vary, but you can cover the same distance as a side sig on Ada if you dash and do the down sig. But there's somewhat more predictability involved, but you can get the function of a side sig and a down sig in a down sig of Orion. It's like a 2-in-1 there. So in some cases, this may technically make Ada down sig on Spear obsolete. So there's that. It's just that you just gotta vibe a certain way, if you know what I mean. Like, if you love to slide around, go with Orion for down sig. If you like to play it cool and patient and then let your move do the work, go for Ada down sig. But Orion's down sig is just too good to ignore. Like, this coverage, this speed is amazing. And why is it 3rd place and not higher? Well, it's got the same weakness as Ada side sig on Spear. Somehow, some way, in that flickering hitbox, notice how Orion hits forward, and then into backward, and then into forward? Somehow, if your opponent expects your down sig, if they dodge at the right moment of the swing of the spear in the 360, they can successfully spot dodge this. Which is a sight to see, because those people are absolute demons and they make my reaction time feel like a snail. But anyways, that's enough spiel on why Orion Downsig is 3rd place for best spear signatures. Moving into 2nd place, we got the runner-up silver medal, Arcadia. I mean, we introduced Arcadia at the very beginning, but she managed to pull through again and get a 2nd place placement for best spear signatures. And this time it's her neutral signature. Dun dun dun, big shock. Why is it neutral sig? Well, let me tell you. Having a move that hits grounded and aerial is amazing. I'm getting Scarlet neutral sig hammer and lance vibes from this. Particularly the lance. But anyways, it hits grounded, it hits forward, it hits stacked. Wow, that's amazing. And of course, it strings into sidelight. Okay, it does string into sidelight, but preferably when they don't have a dodge. And also, good old downlight into recovery, yes. Okay. Downlight into neutral sig, yes. Another handy dandy thing just in case you want it. Unjumpable. Especially with that dex. Guaranteed unjumpable. But really, the main draw to this signature is just the overall speed and coverage. That's amazing coverage. Amazing slides. Amazing gravity cancel. You just can't really go wrong with this signature. I mean, if you whiff it, you're off the ground too. You can use it to safely recovery too. Like this, boom, boom. Can't go wrong with this. So, that's my input on the signature. What are some comparable signatures to this? Well, I've already mentioned Nash's neutral signature, Kaya's neutral signature, all that good stuff, Bryn neutral signature. But this is just such an easy hitbox that you just can't complain. So 2nd place for Arcadia neutral sig, good on you. Unveiling our 1st place placement.
Queen Kai.
Unveiling our 1st place winner of the best signatures for Spear. 1st place we got Queen Nai. And Queen Nai, we've got Spear neutral signature as her best. And it's also for the same reasons as Arcadia. Hits grounded, hits in front. Does it hit stacked? No, it does not hit stacked. But, why is it 1st? Well, handy thing you asked. Now that's supposed to be true. I just have to input it right. But that's the big reason why this is the best spear signature. It's so fast, and it's true, right? 2 dodge. Did they patch this? 1 dodge window. No way, guys. We might have to call a misentry if this is true. Okay, if it's untrue, it would be a misentry. It's true. False alarm, everyone. Just get it true. It's a tight input, but get it true, and this signature is absolutely amazing. It's a true combo on Spear Downlight signature, and it has almost all the good stuff that you expect from Arcadia's neutral signature. So there you go, guys. Unfortunately, the slide charging inputs for this signature are much more nuanced. Yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunate. It's much easier. This slide charging physics is similar to Mirage Neutral Sig on Scythe. It's very difficult to X-Pivot slide. But if you're going for default slide, amazing. Gravity cancel, we already know it's amazing. Amazing damage, amazing force. Really, there's not much else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 spear signatures list. Let me know in the comments what you guys think should have been entries in the main list. I know I covered a lot of the honorable mentions, but I'm asking for input to make everyone here better spear players. So let me know what you think in the comments, and hope you guys had fun watching this top 10 list, and I'll see you guys next time.